Looks good in there now. How about that? Yeah. Everybody always talking about all the glory and the glamour. You start seeing all this stuff going on here. Get our tea ready. Everybody sees the glory and the wonder of a cooktop stove. And I'll tell you what, it is a blessing. There's no question about it. A lot can be done, and a lot is done every morning on our cooktop stove. There's no doubt about it. I get done with these eggshells. I usually, if when I'm not using it, we stick them in the oven, let them dry out, and use them to mix with our chicken feed. Everybody talks about the wonderful use of a cooktop stove, and it is great. Every morning this is our routine. But what they don't usually talk about or know is the work involved in keeping it going and the mess involved in keeping it going. But it is a wonder. So we thought what we would do is show you what all goes into the fun, and then also fun what goes into keeping the wood stove, the cook stove, going in our daily routine. So stick around and check it out. It's a beautiful afternoon here north of Nashville. Life on the farm. Another day of life on the farm. Today is wood day. It actually is kind of warm today, which is good because it's been freezing, hasn't it? Yeah. And so we thought what we'd do is show you, because we have two wood stoves. One we run in our studio barn. We don't have to run that every day, but then we have the one in our house, and we run that every day. It's a wood stove. And so, to keep things warm, a lot of work involved. Matter of fact, one of the things that we do, we don't just cut down trees on the property here, but there have been several of these trees that have aged out, and as they do, the wind will knock them over. You can see one just up the way there. That's got to be harvested. That's a nice piece there. That's a white oak. This actually was two trees. The other half was just as wide as this right here. And in a windstorm several months ago, it fell this way across the drive there, and so we harvested it. That's a poplar tree. So we have poplar wood and oak, white oak. We do have a little bit of red oak, but we use that to burn. And one of the things, the process of it is what we wanted to show you here. And everybody does it a little bit different, but for us, we just thought we would share what we do. Because we're trying to be conservative, and we really want to preserve our resources. We have a lot of wood here, but all of it doesn't need to be cut down. We have 2 or 3 trees that are ready to be processed. This we've been working on all fall. We've cut down the majority of it, filled the barn up, and we'll cut it to length that will work in the stove, and split it out here, and then we'll haul it on the wagon back up to the respective areas. But we actually have two different storage places for our wood out here, and this is the livestock barn. This is, here comes old Zeke. This one? Yeah. So Zeke is the official wood mover. This is the garage part. Actually, see one of our secrets in here. This is where Doc lives in the winter time. Doc is our 1952 Chevy Skyline Deluxe. So Doc's in here, but also what has been in here for over a year is our seasoned oak, which works really good. It's had a good year to season, and so it has really seasoned well, and it's great for keeping warm at night. And this is the other reserve that we have prepared for the winter. We've cut into it a little bit because it has been cold the last few weeks. We're just we're Middle Tennessee, just north of Nashville, and we're up on one of the ridges north of town. And so it gets a lot cooler up here, but we've had a lot of cool winters, or winter weather here in Middle Tennessee. So Zeke, who's our wood guy,
I meant this on the door.
he gets the wood, pile it up to get back over to the house, and we usually do like 50-50 when we stack it in. And Zeke, we do half and half, like half oak. That's a good looking, and half poplar. That's a good looking oak right there, y'all. So we do half and half. And why?
One burns longer. Oak burns longer.
Oak burns longer.
Yeah.
And then the poplar is
Good fire starter.
It's good fire starters, and it's good. It's hot. It gets hot real quick. So like when you really want to crank up the stove. Ooh, we got our fishing poles here. We'll be needing those in the spring. We'll take them right over there. So everybody sees the warm, cuddly fire, but what they don't see is the work it takes to get it. Now, it took us the better part of a month to split 3 different trees. Yeah. We were splitting out here 3 or 4 times, and we would load a big old wagon up.
The other one. We got 4 rows of just this.
Yeah. We had to fill all that up. We actually also filled up out here because we had extra, so we put some of the piles out here. So what we try to do to enjoy the warmth of the fire is when it's afternoon and the weather is kind of broken a little bit, we'll come load, and we try to get enough to last 3 or 4 days anyway. I'm helping here. But the important thing really is to conserve. So we don't want to just burn a lot of wood. We want to burn the right amount of wood. So using the seasoned wood is real important to keeping a good steady fire. And then if we're cooking, when you're cooking, you don't have to have a raging fire. We'll take a look at the stove that we use. We'll show you that as well. You need consistent heat, because if you're baking in the oven, it's got to be a consistent temperature that could be hot and consistent. when you're cooking on the stovetop, which first thing in the morning, especially in the winter, we have a routine. And our routine basically starts about 5:30 in the morning. Go in, get the stove cranked up, get it warmed up again. And then we cook coffee, we'll cook breakfast on the stove, and then just use it for heat. Sometimes we always keep like hot water and hot coffee on the stove, that way when we need it. And then in the event of power outage, which out here in the country it can happen, and when it does, it sure is good to have everything we need directly. So, but we try to be not just burn wood because we have it, because we've got enough wood here that would last decades as far as for winter heat. And so we really haven't had to cut anything down. You can kind of see back in the woods directly connected to our field here. There's a lot of wood there, and there's a lot of good wood there, but it needs to be preserved. And then when the time comes, we do have one out there that's kind of leaning. It's pulling out of the ground, and windstorm last year it kind of leaned. So that lets us know it'll be ready to come down probably the end of this next summer. No problem. We'll be able to harvest it and utilize it, and not just use it for burning, but we can also use it for building, especially if it's a nice good piece. We'll take that out and process that, and we'll walk you through a video doing that. Also, while Zeke's getting loaded up, down here and take a look at the little babies. We have 3 mamas. They're going to be having little kids here real quick like. So we're watching them. Here we are, getting loaded up, and while Zeke's loading this, we're going to go ahead and load some of this poplar. And yeah, I'm going to get some kindling. See what we did with our kindling. We took all of the stuff that just fell off the splitter, just little quote unquote junk pieces, bark, let it dry. We use all that for kindling, that way we don't have to split up good pieces of wood to make it happen. So let's let you sit right here just a second, enjoy that view. I'm going to grab some of this wood. Alright. While we get that. This is all poplar. Real poplar. Get a little bit more. Get about 10 more pieces. Okay. No, let's go. So, and we'll pull up. So we piled this. It is probably about 4 foot high. So it's about what they call a rick of wood. Somebody's been in here working because they laid a ladder on top of it. Anyway, we piled it 4 high, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows deep. We had 5. This was up. But over the last month and a half, we have used that. So again, we're being conservative with wood because, well, we don't want to run out. And if we have some left for next year, the nice thing is, because it's in dry storage, it can simply be seasoned. Then we'll bring all of that out to the front, and then we'll put the new stuff that we cut kind of behind it. What we do is we store it in here because in the summertime, once the livestock has been let out that end, we open these doors up, and the wind blows in here pretty frequently, and it will dry it out real good. So let's see what these babies are doing. There's Annie. Hi, Annie. And look at this. This kitty thinks she's a goat, and she will hang out back here with the goats all night. She is a very faithful barn kitty. We appreciate her. And we keep her own food out here. I mean, she has a food source, you know what I mean. But we also keep her little snacks out here. All right. So Zeke, now we travel in and out of Nashville all the time. That's our hometown. It's where old Zeke was born. But we moved out into the country a few years ago. So there's pros and cons to both. But one of the real cool things about living out in the country is that you want to take a cruise, not in a vehicle, but four-wheeler, whatever, or you want to work on a big project, you don't have to really get a permit to work on a project. You just kind of go out and build it. But Zeke, life on the farm. What, as a 15-year-old young man, what's cool about it?
You get to drive.
You get to drive. So how would you, what is the contrast like? There's good things about living anywhere.
You asking for the cons?
But no, what is the contrast between, like, if you were living in the city? What would a 15-year-old student miss just living in the city all the time, not having experiences like you have out here? What do they miss?
Good walks in the woods.
That's cool. You do that a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Up in you take 5-mile walks. Where's your thinking? Tell everybody where your thinking spot is.
Deer stand, or there's a top of a hill where I walk about 5 miles out.
Nice. So that's a good, and I would say that's probably really good, because there are no deer stands in town that I know of where you can go and just clear your head. So that's cool. Kind of windy out here today. So Zeke, this is your, you do this a couple times a week, right?
Yeah.
This is our work truck, and it is literally a work truck because it's on its last leg. We tried to fix it a few different times, but I'll tell you what it is good for. Zeke is 15, and it is good training. So he gets to drive around and do all the wood loads and moving the trailers and stuff like that. So we're going to back up and we're going to get some of the poplar. All right. Let's get that.
Dang it, I thought I was closer.
Hey, you good? All right. So before the fire is cuddly and warm, it looks like work. Get your big old arm load. We'll knock this out real quick. Here, hold your arm.
I like to clean it off.
Yeah, good idea. That way there's no
Bugs.
bugs and mess.
That is bugs.
No, it ain't. That's dust.
Rotten dust.
There you go. All right. Well. Okay. So, what we want to do now, the stove we use, we'll show it to you in a little bit. The stove we use, we purchased from an old feller over at Lebanon, and he'd had it forever in an old farmhouse. And it is a replica of an antique stovetop, but it's a really cool. It's very utility, which is what we need and what we like. And everybody, especially if you live out in the country, you should have a stove. If you're going to have a stove, it needs to be a cook stove. You need to be able to cook on it. You need to be able to work on it. It needs to contribute more than just heat, in my opinion. And so the one we have is not the most efficient, and you'll see why, but it's better than nothing.
Grab that one.
Our goal is to get a newer cooktop stove this year. So if you have recommendations, you let us know, because we'll sure take recommendations and a good deal.
That one with the black dust.
Yeah, that's a nice, good size burning one. So we keep 50-50 when we burn it. When we start it, we use the poplar, and once it gets going, we throw in probably about 2 or 3 little pieces every hour and a half or something, and that keeps it going all through the day on into the night. So really, I'd say of 24 hours, probably 19 hours keeps us warm. The other hours we're under the blankets, so we really don't know anyway until we get up and try to have hot water or coffee. All right. I'm gonna take the
Check it. See if there's a
back of that
needle
left.
bolt.
Get I'd say get about 10 more pieces and we're good. All right.
Hold up. Let's do something. Alright, I have a challenge for you. Y'all heard of the water ball challenge? I'm challenging my dad to a wood flip challenge.
Fair. Let's see what you got. All right, so where are we doing it from?
Right there. That's the line.
Here's the line. Okay. So first to 3 wins.
Yep.
All right, so first to 3 in a row.
First of 3.
I'm in. You want to go first or you want me to?
You go first.
All right, I go first. So
Choose the wood.
I'll choose the wood.
I'll record.
Just hold right here. You choose. I'll get me a couple pieces of wood. Here's the line. Oh! And not so much.
One
There
more.
was one. That was not. That was not.
1 out of 4. 1 out of 5. 1 out of 6.
Yeah. So I got.
1 out of 7.
Ooh, that lined up.
Alright, 2 out of 7.
That lined up.
3 out of 7.
More.
Nope.
And that bounced off. More big old piece. All right, let's see what you got, big boy.
You got 3 out of 7.
3 out of 7. All right. And now Zeke's turn for the challenge. 3 out of 7. So if you throw 7, let's see what you can do. 7 in a row from the line. Who's going for Zeke? Look at him. He's going to move all of my, clear the pile off, make it official. All right, Zeke. Let's see what you got. An almost, but not. Didn't stack. It stacked crooked. Let's see what he's got. Oh! You're cutting it down to the wire. Ooh, no stack.
You don't need glasses.
Let's see. That's more like a toss on the pile.
Yeah.
I flipped him and landed him, folks. All right, looks like
You win.
I win. Woo! So that means
I lose.
Zeke's got to load all the wood from now till 2027.
We did not agree on that.
Good game.
Yep. You win?
Yeah. Part 2 of the process. Drive up the road. Our front acreage. There's our studio barn. We'll have to show you there one of these days when we're working. Just pull up. Then we bring it up to the house. And we unload it. You're good. Good job. So, thankfully it's not like freezing this afternoon. Let me give you a good arm load. Take these in first and then we'll see how much, because I know we definitely need more of both, but I want to make sure we get enough. Oak, because we tend to run out of that when we need it.
Only thing is, it's the longer lasting one.
Yeah.
I'll take this one.
All right, so I'm a coming. We bring the wood in. Zeke takes it by the arm load. And here's the stove. Feels nice and warm in here. Our bucket with all of our kindling. Oh yeah, nice fire going in there. Still. So this is a premiere. That's what it's called. We leave the oven open when we're not cooking because it lets all that heat out into our family room. We do games and crafts out here, what have you. Then it goes through the kitchen window and it goes through the dining room window also. So it keeps the house moderately warm. I'd say definitely in the mid to upper 60s when it's real cold out. We divide our wood from one side to the other, we do. All right. Then put the rest of that oak. And we do oak and kind of mix so we can mix burn. So you can kind of tell this top definitely needs to be cleaned off. But it's not efficient to the extent that you see some of these areas where from years of use it's warped there. So it's not the most efficient, but I mean it does what we have needed it to do, and it's been a huge blessing to us. What we want to get is an efficient cooktop, kind of a retro looking thing, but that has a glass front so we can see the fire. Because early in the morning, here's our thinking area. So, I mean, why would you not want to be able to watch the same fire? And we want to get one of the newer ones that has a fire box with a window and oven that's a little bit more sealed. And of course, cooktop and all that stuff. So, there's Zeke with the